told them is ChatGPT at them. I ask it to tell me good thrift stores to visit off of the 5 between here and there. It was probably one of the best Goodwills I've ever been to. I could have been there all day. If we didn't have to get back on the road to get where we're going, we would still be there. I didn't think there were a lot of new things to do when it comes to thrifting, but I found something. I used ChatGPT to help me find thrift stores. Now let me explain a little bit. So we were taking a road trip and we were on the second day of driving, and on this day it was going to be about 7 hours that we were going to be on the road. So we knew we wanted to find some stops to take a break, fill up, stretch our legs. And so I thought, well, why don't we're not in a huge hurry to get where we're going. Let's find some thrift stores. And so I said to my husband, well, I'm not sure what cities to search because we don't know exactly where we're going to want to stop. And my husband said, why don't you ask ChatGPT to tell us some places to stop right off the interstate between point A and point B. So that's exactly what I did. And it gave us about 5 different options, several just along the way. The first one we couldn't go to because we were leaving so early, it was closed. So the second one was in Redding, California, so northern part of the state. And this Goodwill was right off of the 5. Like, we weren't going to have to drive another 10, 15, 20 minutes into town. It was right off the interstate, so super easy. This Goodwill and ChatGPT did not disappoint. We spent 2 hours, which added a lot to our drive time that day. But we spent 2 hours in this Goodwill. It was so good. It was big. There was so much to look at. And I ended up with 2 cartfuls full of good stuff. And this was stop 1. This was the very first thrift store that we stopped at on this 11-day thrifting trip that we were taking. And 2 cartfuls of stuff was a lot for the first stop, but it was so good I couldn't help myself. I'm going to share with you what I found, some of the great things I picked up. But before that, take a look at how great this Goodwill thrift store was. some of the things that I ended up picking up and that will be coming to my Etsy shop soon. I'll start with this big guy. So this is just a piece of studio pottery. It's an urn. It is signed on the bottom by the artist, and I just, to find a piece this large in such good shape, I couldn't leave it behind. I'm probably going to keep this, but you never know. Cool thing that I found first, like early when I got there, was this brass Cricut box. I've recently found some other Cricut boxes, but this is really large. It's missing its little, the little lock piece right here that connects. But you know what? Nobody's worried about locking their Cricut in here. So it'll make a beautiful accent piece for somebody. So I got that. I did bring home this poodle. Somebody had dropped off their whole collection of doggy figurines. He was the only one that I picked up. I've had a lot of success selling little ceramic poodles. I don't know why, but I think he'll make somebody really happy. I picked up this set of 4 mugs made of bone china, featuring just little holly branches, holly and berry branches. It's made by Hikari. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's fine bone china. I just thought they were pretty. Here's the thing, I didn't take a lot of time on this thrifting trip in Reading or anywhere else, spending a lot of time on Google Lens researching what I was finding. I was really, a lot of just going with my gut. Mainly because we didn't have the time for me to sit there and check every single last piece. A lot of this is just because I liked it, and I'm hoping somebody else will like it too. There were some collectible, these were made by Pepsi. It says in 1978. Like I said, there's this one that's Daisy and Donald, this one that's Pluto, Mickey and Pluto, but mostly just featuring Pluto, and then a Mickey and Minnie. It's really just it says just Mickey, but it also features Minnie on there. So I'll sell these separately so that somebody can complete a collection. I did end up bringing home these anniversary mugs. I just thought that they were so unique and would make such a unique gift to give somebody. They're stamped Japan on the bottom. There's some crazing throughout, but again, I think somebody's probably not going to use this to drink their coffee out of. They're going to use it. It'd be really pretty to take this to a florist and have them do a beautiful bouquet, or you can just obviously make your own and give this as a gift. So I have 2 of those. I'll sell those separately. These remind me kind of a restaurant, like breakfast cafe mugs. They have a little green band around the edge, some similar. And that's one of the things that I do go off of when I'm kind of going with my gut. If I see something, I'm like, I've sold something like this before, something very similar, if not the exact same thing. And I just kind of don't even think about it. I grab it. Like, speaking of grab it, these plates by Corningware, I have quickly sold the grab it bowls that match these. I'd never seen these plates before. Again, something that I just saw it and it immediately went in the cart, because I thought, well, if people liked the bowls and those sold so quickly after me getting them up in my shop, surely the plates will go quickly as well. Don't call me Shirley is what my mom would say to that. What else? Okay, so here's another thing that's from the 70s. Never seen anything like it before. Like a recipe box, but for cocktails. So like it says, after dinner drinks, aperitifs, beer and ale, bourbon, hot toddies, gin. There's a whole bunch. Kind of a mid-century vibe. Like these would be super cool to have sitting on a bar. I think people would get a kick out of it, and useful. What else? Speaking of things that I have sold a lot of and I just didn't even think twice about it, is this copper bottom Revereware tea kettle. I've lost track of how many of this exact tea kettle that I've sold. This is a automatic, if I see it, unless it's just outrageously priced, I'm gonna grab it. This one was in good shape. It's not one of the made in the USA kettles, which they're always stamped on the bottom. This is one that was made in China, but I cleaned it and it's still a little wet. So this is, all of this stuff is, I've already inventoried it, which basically means I'm just putting it in my spreadsheet and writing down what I paid for it. And then I've cleaned it all. You gotta work to get the stickers off, and a lot of stuff has years of grime from sitting on the shelf and whatever. Speaking of, so this cool thing, so I have to be careful because, so this rope of ceramic vegetables was on the bottom shelf. Another thing that I was like, oh yeah, somebody will want this. I hope that's the case. But this must have been hanging in somebody's kitchen for years and years, because there was like just kitchen grime on all of these. Years worth of grime, but I've worked hard to clean this for you guys, whoever wants this. But right, like, it's just such a cool old rope of ceramic vegetables. Speaking of vegetables, I saw these little potato boats. I don't know anything about them, but I thought, well, these are cool and versatile because they would be fun, obviously, to serve mashed potatoes out of. I wish there had been more than two. There was only two, so I grabbed them both. I showed you guys somebody had brought in their state plates, souvenir plates, and I did end up coming home with two of them. One was this Hawaii plate, just because I loved the colors of it. It looks very, I don't know, 50s, 60s to me, and I just thought the colors were pretty, and somebody that's a fan of Hawaii and wants to remember a trip, this is a fun idea. And then I picked up this Oklahoma one that looks like it was made around the same time, maybe in the same company, because we're originally from Oklahoma, and I couldn't leave it behind. So I grabbed that. I also grabbed these pretty little plates. Seem to be really old. Again, I'm not that familiar with the maker. I'll learn more. These would be pretty accent plates. They're really bread and butter size, but could be used for kitchen decor, wall decor, like I said, accent plates, or somebody that already has some of these and needs a replacement. Grabbed this Johnson Brothers, vintage Johnson Brothers platter. It's a smaller platter. I'd say it's probably a 12-inch platter. It's Snow White Regency. It's in really good condition. There's a teeny tiny little chip on the end here. I mean, not hardly, you wouldn't sweat it at all, but it's very pretty and a very nice size. You know, so many platters can be great big, and this is just, I don't know, this is a nice, pretty size. And then I also grabbed these Royal Stafford Christmas, 2 Christmas dinner plates. Again, something I wish there had been a lot more of. There were only 2, so I grabbed them. And then I also grabbed these very mid-century stainless steel divided serving dishes. This one is made, it's marked Zeelandia from Denmark. Mid-century, speaking of, this vintage ashtray with feet on the bottom is marked made in the USA. I don't know who the maker is. There are some other markings on there, but it has just kind of this gold trim to it. It's a unique shape. Be great in someone's mid-century modern home. Other thing that I grabbed a lot of there at Goodwill was this Keel Street pottery cottage set. So I got the teapot. There is a creamer and sugar bowl. jam pots or honey pots because they have the cutout in the lid for putting a spoon through there. But there's these little bitty ones that, again, have a cutout, like they're almost little spice jars, but where you could put a spoon through. I mean, most of the time a spice jar would not have a cutout like that because that would spoil your spices and you wouldn't need a spoon sitting in there. So anybody that knows what these tiny ones, and right, because you've got this size that would be for, again, like I would think jam and honey is going to go in there. So what would be in this? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what would be in this little one. And then there was one mug. I wish I could have found, and I looked and looked. There were so many mugs, and I stood there and searched high and low trying to find another mug, but there was only the one. And so these are stamped. This one's stamped price. So is that different than the Keel Street? It does. It looks like it's similar but different. Yeah, some of these are stamped Price Brothers, made in England, cottage wear with a registration number. So some of this, I think, is made by Price Brothers, made in England, and then see, I'm just discovering this in real time. I got, I guess, two different, because this is Keel Street pottery. This that has more of kind of the yellow. Okay, so I'm going to have to separate these out of what I have. I have some that are the Price Brothers and some that are Keel Street. So, okay, here's all the cookbooks. And it kind of cracks me up. I didn't notice till later that this Banker's box, somebody wrote duds on it. So I guess there were things that weren't good anymore in here, but these things are really good now. So I ended up with 4 different Barefoot Contessa, Ina books, and these are some of the older ones. Like I think this was maybe the second one that she ever did. Of course, Ina is always been popular, but even more popular now because of her memoir that came out. So I got four of hers. I already have all of her cookbooks. So my collection is complete, but I hope that I'll put these up and somebody will add them to their collection. Speaking of collections, I found more of these Williams-Sonoma Time Life books. Obviously, Time Life, is that even a thing anymore? But I found some really good ones, like this Thanksgiving one, the holiday baking. And this one I'd never seen before. It's kids' cookies. So I found several of those to add to. I already have a listing in my Etsy shop of those Williams-Sonoma Time Life books. So I'm going to add these to that. Speaking of collections, I found some more Martha books, which I always grab. I have a whole section of my Etsy shop that is just for vintage Martha cookbooks. Here's more for me to add. I've never seen this one before. It's a Good Housekeeping illustrated cookbook. It's great big, but it's a full color photo gallery of 900 dishes. Like this one, I had never seen before. It's the LL Bean Guide to the Outdoors. I would think somebody that is an LL Bean fan will thoroughly enjoy this. What year is this? This was from 1981. It's a first edition. Somebody will love that. I wasn't leaving this behind. This came in between this book. So Julia's The French Chef Cookbook. This is really kind of based on her TV show. And I think this came in between the 2 volumes of the Mastering French Cooking. I believe this one this came out in 1968. It's in really good shape. Even the dust jacket is still in really good condition. So somebody that's working on their Julia Child cookbook collection, this will make a very nice addition because it's in such good condition. And then just a couple of other odds and ends, like a Betty Crocker Christmas cookbook. I don't know, so many classic, yummy looking things. And then just a sunset magazine. I kind of picked this up for myself a little bit. I do like to make jams and jellies, so a little home canning. I don't know, so I might keep this. See if I learned something new. So that was everything we got in Reading. And Reading was our first stop, and there's a lot more that we ended up, the car was full. The car was beyond full by the time we made it back home after 11 days. But you'll be able to find all of this great stuff that I showed you today eventually in my Etsy shop. Be sure to look below for the link and check out all the great things that are already there, and then come back and check it out again as I get these items from this epic 11-day thrifting trip. Once I get this all processed and up in my store, it'll be ready for you to fall in love with. So thanks for being here, and stay tuned for more of this epic thrift trip that we went on up through Northern California, up into Oregon, and back down here to Southern California. So lots more to come, lots more to share. But thanks for being here, and thanks for watching.